Hey there guys, this is AC Productions, and today we're going to be testing out the GSXR 750. So I've been wanting to ride one of these bikes for quite some time, and I drove pretty much from Chicago to Wisconsin, a 6-hour drive to get here. They're already starting out the ride, so I'm not going to have enough time to really show off the bike, maybe on the way back, but yeah, I was thinking about doing an upgrade. Um, so let's get going and let's see how this bike performs. So right off the bat, it feels really comfortable in the seat, and uh, and you are in a more forward position compared to the R3 when you're in a more upright position. Oh, here comes the car. The brakes feel really firm. Bike does feel smoother compared to the R3, where the R3 it vibrates a little bit, but not as much as the R3 does. So we are in Wisconsin. The views over here in Wisconsin is really nice. The position for the feet is a little bit higher than the R3, but other than that, I mean, taking my feet off is not bad compared. Well, I can't compare it to anything because I never really rode a bigger bike before. This is my first time. But position, you are forward more, and I would say, I could flat foot, no problem. I am 5'11", and okay, I guess we're gonna go now. So I'm 5'11", I could flat foot. The seat feels really comfortable. I don't feel any discomfort, especially in the thigh area. Putting the feet onto the pegs. Ooh. Oh, this power is pretty good. Alright, sorry guys, but yeah, that power kind of took me away there. I'm not used to that. Obviously in the R3 you don't get to go that quick, that fast. You definitely would have to really punch it on the throttle. I just gave it just a little bit of throttle and I was already going. I'm on third gear doing at 50, and it's so far it's pretty good. And I kind of just lost my train of thought. It's really smooth upon taking off. See if I can get on this side. So you do feel a little bit of vibration, but not a lot. And now the exhaust doesn't sound bad for being stock. And I would say you hear more of the exhaust on the lower RPM range than you do on the higher RPM range. Because as soon as you get to the high RPM range, it almost like sounds like you hear it roaring, but then it kind of goes into a quiet. It's like, kind of something like that. I know that was a bad representation, but it kind of just sounds like that. You don't really hear it roaring. I mean, as soon as you get really high in the RPM range. So on the lower RPM range, you could hear it screaming. It doesn't sound bad at all for being a stock exhaust. Now the views out here are awesome. Very nice views. Compared to Chicago, we don't have any views. Really, it's all flat. It looks like we're going to be hitting some kind of open road highway. Hopefully that's what this is over here. Now this bike does have modes. It has a mode, which is full power, and then a B mode, which kind of limits the power. And from what I have been watching some YouTube videos. Whoa, these front brakes are amazing. I just gave it a little press with just 2 fingers, and I'm already really stopped. So the front brake is really firm. It feels nice. So what I was saying is that, yeah, the views in Chicago, we don't really have any compared to out here. It's really nice. Oh, the modes is what I was getting to. Whoa, now that has some power right there. I think I'm on B. I'm sure we're supposed to be on the left here. Wow. That is it. The only thing I can say, guys, is that this power will put a smile to your face when you give it throttle. And to know that you don't have to be in the high gear to really go this fast. I mean, I'm at 55. I'm at third gear. I think 55 on the R3 will be already in sixth gear or whatnot. So having the power at your fingertips like this is wow. Definitely will put a smile to your face. Oh, it's already coming to a stop, or a slowdown, I say. And now, if there's a question you guys are asking, Alfonso, why do you want to upgrade your R3? Are you not satisfied with it? Honestly, guys, it just comes down to power, I would say, not necessarily speed. I don't, I would say, find myself speeding all that often at all, honestly. I don't go, 100 plus miles an hour all the time. Wow, that power. It's something else for sure. So getting back to the speeding, guys, I don't speed. I don't go 100 miles an hour all the time. I'd say from all the time that I've owned the R3 since 2015, the many times as I hit 100 miles an hour or more. I did top out my bike at 115, and I've probably done it maybe, I would say 3 times, honestly. I mostly just kind of cruise, either speed limit or maybe just a little bit above speed limit, but never at 100 miles an hour all the time. That's just not my riding style. Now these bumps that we're hitting, I do feel them. They're not crazy aggressive, but you do feel them. They're not as soft as on the R3. So this looks like kind of a windy road, so I'm not going to be, going all out at it. So I am not familiar with these kind of roads, so I'm definitely going to be taking it easy. I think it was downshift. Looks like there is some kind of gravel a little bit on these roads. Other than that, the performance on this bike is really good. The grip on the tires for being stock, not bad. They definitely do grip. There's no slippage. Comparing it again, everything I'm comparing to is from the R3, because that's my only experience I've ever had is from my R3. I've never ridden any other bike, so I really can't compare to any other bike, because this is honestly the first time I've ever ridden any other bike besides my R3. So on the R3, when I first got the R3, when I would hit some turns or corners, I could feel the back end kind of shooting out a little bit, just because the stock tires on the R3 are not that great. I mean, they're good for long commuting and stuff like that, but when you really want to hit a curve, something like this, it definitely doesn't give you that confidence to do so. That's why as soon as I got the chance and had the money, I did upgrade my tires to the Bridgestone Battle Axe S20 Evos. And what a difference that made. I mean, as soon as you change the tires and you get sticky tires, oh man, you start hitting those curves really nicely, and it builds up your confidence to do so, because you know that you got that grip. So far on these tires, these stock tires on this GSXR, they're not bad. I don't feel no slippage or nothing. As far as really pushing it, I don't know. I mean, unless I bought this bike to really go that route to see how well these tires perform. But right now on this ride, they're performing really well. And as far as actually putting the bike into the turn, it does take a little bit of leaning the bike into it. Now I heard a saying that you can't ride a fast bike slow, but you can ride a slow bike fast. Now I wanted to test out that theory on this bike, since it is a 750. I wanted to see if that's really true. If you can't ride a fast bike slow. So I was thinking about it, as soon as we do, if I find a good, stretchy straightaway road, I wanted to, really go up on the top gear, and then kind of cruise it at, a slower speed, and see how the throttle response and everything is on, being on the last gear or something like that. So as soon as we find a straight road, I will do that, and then we'll just test it out. This looks to be a pretty straight road, so right now I'm in 4th. Let me go away to 6. Alright, so now I'm in 6. I'm gonna give it some throttle just to see if you do need to. Let's actually slow it down here since we are going to a turn. That way, and then I'll try to see if I get a little bit of throttle, see how the response of the throttle is if I, you know, if it lacks power. Watch out for this. All right, let's do it now. Definitely not. Even at a really slow speed and being all the way in 6th gear, when you give it throttle, it goes. There's like no like real lag time. I mean, obviously I didn't really give it 100% throttle, and I am in the mode B, which is the more calmer mode from the mode A, from what I've been seeing on videos. But there's definitely you don't need to downshift to get that power, which is awesome. On the R3, if you needed to get out in a sticky situation and you were in the high gear, you definitely need to, you know, take it down a few gears to get to that, you know, more higher RPM to get out in a bit of a situation if you ever encounter one. But on this bike, not at all. It has plenty of power, and I haven't downshifted yet. I'm still in 6th gear. My RPMs are super low. I'm at 3,000 RPMs. Let's give it a little juice. And definitely has power. And every time you give it that power, it definitely it puts a smile to your face for sure. All right, so kind of getting back to what I was talking about before about you know, upgrading. Again, it just boils down to power. Like I said, I'm not big into speeding. So it's mainly just power. You know, just feeling that power when you give it the throttle, that knowing that you have that kind of power, it puts a smile to your face, and I don't know, it's hard to explain until you experience it. I'm still going to be keeping the R3. I'm still going to be, you know, doing my maintenance series for you guys, and doing other small things with the R3. As far as the cosmetics and anything like that, I'm already done. Alright, we're coming on a downhill, so engine braking is pretty much non-existent. We're just kind of coasting, actually. Let me downshift a little bit. It's pretty smooth, actually, when you're downshifting. Alright, so now we're just kind of coasting it. Let me see, I'm going to put it to mode A. Okay, so now we're in mode A, and we'll test out mode A right now and see what the difference is on the mode A. Holy cow! You definitely feel the power. And the exhaust is definitely a lot more screamier. It's screaming. Yeah, definitely a lot different on the power band. You definitely feel it more when you give it the throttle. It's like 100%. You got all the motor now. And from what I heard on videos is that people will use power A or the mode A for highway use, and mode B would more be, you know, the calmer mode will be more for city commuting and stuff like that. But wow. So the throttle is more. Now that I'm giving it, every time I give it the throttle, you definitely feel it more. It's more responsive. Not that it wasn't responsive on mode B, but it's definitely, you get it more on the mode A. Now, as far as the position and what I'm feeling on my back, I don't really feel. I mean, I feel that I know that I am crouched over a little bit, but it's not very aggressive. So compared to, like I said, guys, I've been looking at other videos about sport bikes or more of the super sports, and you know, the middleweight, I guess they call it the middleweight bikes, and you know, their seating positions. So I heard that the Yamaha, more of the Yamaha brand is more of the aggressive seating position from any other bike. And on this bike, like I said, you are more in a sport bike positioning. Not that I do the engine braking, you could definitely feel the engine braking, but it doesn't jolt you like crazy forward. Alright, so now getting back in the positioning, you are in a sport bike body position, but it's not very aggressive. And as far as my wrist, my left wrist, I feel perfectly fine. I don't really feel any discomfort. My right one, my throttle one, I do feel just a little bit, just because I'm constantly moving the throttle up and down and stuff. And maybe I'm just putting too much pressure on it, and because I'm not used to this seating position. Because in the R3 you're kind of more upright like this, compared to this you're more on a crouch position. But other than that, it's not bad. My legs don't feel cramped up as I thought they would be. And so far it's all right. It's not bad. If I were to purchase this bike, I would probably for sure get some handlebar risers. Not really crazy big ones, but maybe at least maybe half an inch or maybe 2 inches at most, just to get my wrist more at a position I'm comfortable and used to. Unless these grips are um, not really all the way up, but I think they are. Wow, this is like a bumpy road here. And speaking about the bumps, so yeah, like I was saying before, I think we hit some bumps before. The bumps on with this bike, I do feel the bumps, and as you could hear in my voice, they're not as soft like I have it on the R3. On the R3, I still have it on the stock setting, which is not really firm and not, too aggressive. So I have it in the middle, which kind of absorbs the bumps a little bit more. But for the R3, the front forks in the R3 is not adjustable. You can't do any adjustment, even though eBay sells those preload adjusters. Those are garbage. They don't do nothing. If you install those on your R3, it's more for a cosmetic look to make it look like you can adjust your front forks, when actuality you cannot. So that's more of a cosmetic thing. And this one, these are real adjustment forks. If you wanted to do a real adjustable forks on the R3, you have to buy a different set of shocks that actually have the adjustability on the shock itself. But as factory, R3 does not come with adjustable shocks. So off the bat, I feel comfortable on this bike. So I guess enough for me talk. Oh no! Before I stop talking for a little bit, the mirrors are not bad. I mean, the mirrors are pretty good. I didn't get a chance to obviously adjust them, but they're pretty wide and they look like they cover a lot, so you could actually see a lot behind you. So I'm sure if I adjust them a little bit more, you probably you don't have to do the chicken wing, is I think what they call it, by moving your arms around to see what's behind you. So pretty much the only thing I would actually change on the bike, the foot position is not as bad as I thought. I'm actually able to get my feet on and off with no problem. My throttle hand, I do feel it tingling a little bit, and I'm trying to relax my hand. I think maybe relax it. It's just I'm not used to this positioning. Alright guys, looks like we're already back here at the Suzuki dealership, and wow, this front brake is amazing guys. It's double disc, and you just give it a little bit of pressure and you're slowing down. You're like literally stopping. So that's pretty cool. On the R3 obviously you don't get that. You have to give it a fistful of I would say probably handbrake just to get it stopped, to get it to stop as good as this GSXR one. And with the GSXR one, I'm only giving it 2 fingers and lightly squeezing it, and it's stopping really good. Alright guys, so this is concluding the ride. I'm going to put it back in neutral. Guys, so this was pretty much the demoing of the bike. It was a really nice ride, I would say. And oh yeah, so let's check out that back end shock. Yep, it is adjustable. Alright guys, we're going to be taking a break right now, and I may test out maybe another bike. We did come from Chicago. It took us around 6 hours to get here. So I'm thinking maybe, now that I've tested out the 750, maybe the next bike I'll probably test out, if they do have it, maybe a 1000. If not a 1000, maybe a 600, and kind of compare. The overall, on the bike, now that we're kind of just sitting here, let me sit on the bike in a little bit and kind of give you my thoughts of how it feels when you go on the bike. So once you sit on the bike, right away you notice the tank. It's like huge, compared to the R3, which is kind of like slim and narrow. The bike feels light. You still feel the weight, but it's not crazy heavy, like really, really heavy. So you're moving it around, you feel, like I said, a little bit more weighted. Obviously, it's a bigger bike, but it's not extremely heavy. Uh, Other than that, oh yeah, so let me do the gauge thing so you guys can see it and see how the gauge looks. Very cool. Oh, it also has a steering dampener from the factory. I heard half and half on it, but it's good that it has it from the factory. So yeah, it's a nice bike. I wouldn't mind upgrading to something like this, but we'll see what happens in the future on if I do upgrade or not. All right, guys. So I'm gonna take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll check out another bike.